Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Okay, a Saturday checkdown edition of Purple Daily here. And there's a fun speculative question from a listener that picks up on a trend of Kwesi and the Vikings over the past couple years and projects it into this offseason with some fun names here. So we're going to get to that. Presented in part by MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Judd?
Oh, that's exactly right. You know what? It's not fun to think about or have to talk about plumbing, heating, cooling, and drain needs, right? Because ordinarily you like when those things go smooth as possible. But when they don't, Sports Dad is telling you right now, MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air, they have you covered. 100% family-owned and operated business. MSP is, and this is the most important thing, committed to taking care of you and your family. Building trust is a big part of how they do business. And get this, right now, book a $49 plumbing inspection by February the 21st and enter to win 2 tickets plus a $100 gift card for food, beverages, and more to go to the March 9th Wild game. For service, give them a call, 651-615-4292, or check out their website, callmsp.com. Call msp.com. The nice thing is, once you call them and once you help them, you will have a friend in this area for life, and that means that those concerns can go by the wayside. Call msp.com as your first step towards that.
Also a shout out to Park Tavern, the official neighborhood sports bar of the Sports Dad.
The Sports Dad loves it. You know why? Because he walks in and it's like Cheers, the old TV show. They all say, Sports Dad.
Good.
Well, actually not. But here is the nice thing. If you want to watch the games, you want to watch the Wild, the Wolves, the Twins, Park Tav is your place to go. Heck, if you're a fan of another team, they will find the game for you. Delicious selection of beers, delicious food as well. Bowling. Happy hour after work on weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m. After hours, a happy hour as well. Sunday through Thursday nights, 8 p.m. to close. How about this? Tuesday, 6 to 8. You got bingo. Park Tavern has whatever you want. That's right. It's a playland. It's a great place to catch games. Located right near the Sports Dad, actually, in St. Louis Park at the corner of Louisiana Avenue South and Highway 7. Park Tavern is your place for fun.
Okay. Love this one.
Reckless speculation.
This is from listener Prashant, who sends a note in via the feedback tab inside the Score North app. It's a great way. You can email the show, feedback questions, request to get on and write that down. And he says, every year, Kwesi has bought low on some players in free agency with mixed results. So I have a list of a few of Kwesi's crapshoots, if you will. So the definition here is a former first or second round player deemed to be a bust, or a veteran player coming off an injury or a down year, and go buy low on that stock and hope that you can revive that player. Now, there's been like Jalen Reagor, who did not work out, but then like Jerry Tillery was a good, solid player, former first-round pick out of Notre Dame. Sam Darnold is the ultimate example of a bust that the Vikings resurrected. So Ross Blacklock is one. Shaq Griffin, hell, coming off injury. That was a former highly touted player. So names to watch for the Vikings to buy low for Kwesi's crapshoots, if you will. And he gives us 8 interesting names. I'll just throw all 8 out, and if there's one or two that you guys want to drill down on, we can also touch on all these guys. Running back from Denver, Javonte Williams, who's a guy, he's 25 years old, and he'll be entering, I think, just straight up unrestricted free agency. He was a second-round pick, so he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. And here's the thing about him. Career in 4 years, 4 yards a carry, around 3.5 the last couple of years. Kind of a 5'10", 220-pound bowling ball to some extent. But he can catch passes out of the backfield, and PFF likes him in pass protection too, like behind the line of scrimmage. But he has caught 99 passes over the past 2 years for the Broncos as a guy that can work in on third downs. So that's kind of interesting. Defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw, who is a former top 15 pick, I want to say. Guards Liam Eichenberg and Will Hernandez. Will Hernandez is he's a veteran. He's the only one on this list that's closer to 30. He's 29 years old. Former third overall pick cornerback Jeff Okudah, who's bounced around to a couple different teams, maybe more than a couple teams. Cornerback Christian Fulton, who has been now with two different teams, Tennessee for the first 4 years of his career, and then Chargers, former second-round pick. PFF thought he was a rock-solid outside cornerback for the Chargers last year. And then a couple of safeties. Trayvon Moehrig from the Raiders, just a versatile guy that can line up in the box, free safety, play some slot. And then maybe, for my money, the most interesting name on this list, and we did touch on him briefly on one of our Tuesday Blueprint episodes, safety Javon Holland from Miami. Brian Flores drafted him 4 years ago, his last year in Miami. And Javon Holland, in 4 years with the Dolphins, his rookie year and his third year, 2021 and 2023, he was a top 5 graded safety. He had an 84.7 grade out of 100 in 2021, a 90.4 grade in 2023, and just kind of a league average grade in the other 2 years. It's also like when you play in the secondary, your grades can kind of vary from year to year. But that's a guy that can play free safety. He can play in the box. He can play slot. He's kind of your prototypical chess piece Brian Flores guy. So, I don't know, just 8 names of guys that Kwesi's going to do this with a couple players for sure. So do any of these jump out to you?
Well, what's the price tag from PFF on Holland? What's the projection there? Because I feel like you've got 7 guys who are probably bargain guys, and then this guy who would not be a bargain, but he's a good player.
Yeah, so he's actually I think the 3rd highest ranked free agent. Yeah, on the PFF top 100 list of every position.
So he doesn't really fit the
T.
profile.
Higgins number 1, Trey Smith number 2, and Javon Holland's projected to sign a 4-year, nearly $80 million contract.
So he doesn't fit the profile of the first 7 guys, basically.
Not really. But he's also really good and a Flores guy.
Sure. Yeah.
So he definitely fits with the Vikings. Let's say Cam Bynum moves on.
Yep.
Or hell, maybe Byron Murphy moves on too. We had a couple listeners suggesting we do that exercise.
Yep.
If Brian Flores loves Javon Holland, could you go get Javon Holland, go get a big either guard or defensive tackle with your 2 big chunks of money, and then fill in with, if you need to fill in with a lesser cornerback because you got Mekhi Blackman coming in. But yeah, Holland is a different level than some of these other guys, for sure.
Here's a question. If you do that, so let's say you do that because Bynum leaves and Harrison Smith retires. Do you move, since we're talking about a Swiss Army knife type of player in Holland here, does he become Metellus? And does Metellus move to safety? I'm spitballing here completely, by the way. I'm not suggesting. It just sounds like they've got the same attributes.
I do kind of hate moving Metellus. Like, it feels like Metellus is great. But, I would also trust if Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell said, actually, this is the right way to do this. I would just kind of go along with the smart guys in the room. Another interesting one. So let's pull up Kinlaw here for a second. So this dude, he was drafted by San Francisco, right? Javon Kinlaw. Currently with the New York Jets. Yeah, he was the 14th overall pick out of South Carolina by the 49ers. 6'5", 320-pound interior defensive lineman. And the Vikings are one of the worst interior pressure teams in terms of their down linemen getting pressure and pass rush pressure. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of flaws with him as a run defender, but as a pass rusher, an interior pass rusher, Javon Kinlaw, in part-time snaps, has generated 65 pressures over the last 2 years, 10 sacks, 49 quarterback hurries. So he's not the complete player that San Francisco thought they were drafting, or that the Jets maybe thought they were getting as the 14th overall pick from 2020. But if he was part of a rotation and you're not going to play 1,000 snaps, you're not that dude, but you're going to play 300 or 400, and your goal is to boom, get up the middle and create some pressure. The Vikings need guys like this.
Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, I just look at some of the other ones. Okudah is interesting because they were able to rehabilitate other cornerbacks. Shaq Griffin was coming off an injury. Stephon Gilmore might have been up there in age. I think how they look at these guys with Flores, and I think Kwesi and Flores kind of look hand in hand with handcuffs basically on the targets they want to go after. Okudah is interesting because, I mean, he does fit like the buy low, third overall pick. Is there something there in scheme-wise that they could actually bring out that makes him look more successful? Yeah, I think Okudah is the one that I'm probably the most curious on from all of the players that we've discussed so far.
I think the hesitancy there is he's beat to hell. Like, he's torn his Achilles before. He spent a lot of time after Detroit picked him third in that draft. He was hurt a lot. He signed with the Texans in 2024, placed on IR in September, didn't come back till November. Because I would agree. Like, that's the type of guy that they like.
Yeah.
But there also comes a time, there probably comes a time physically where he's just done. But he does. But yeah, these guys definitely fit a profile. I guess my question is this: where are the Vikings going to spend the money, their top dollar, to address? Because, like, if you address the interior defensive line, the rotation is still necessary, but it's not going to be as important, right? If you address cornerback, then, you know, Shaq Griffin, Okudah's might not be signed. So I'm really curious about what their priority list is. Now, I think it's interior lines, defensive and offensive, but that's just a guess on my part. But they have done a really good job. And I think Kwesi's done a really good job, it seems like, of going out on the market and finding guys that he was told to sign. Like, there's no question. Flores said, okay, here's 5 guys. Sign,
go get a deal done.
And,
sure.
and that's absolutely
it's collaboration,
fine.
Baby.
That is no knock against Kwesi. But the point is, I wonder where Flores is going to target, not to be cheap, but to sort of fill in the gaps that won't be filled in by the big expenditures.
It is good to know that the positions of need for the Vikings, that there's a lot of answers in free agency and the draft. I mean, it's a good year to need defensive tackle, interior offensive line, guard specifically, and running back. Because in the draft, it's one of the deepest running back pools we've seen. I've also seen that it's one of the deepest. Someone listed, was it yesterday? It wasn't Thor, it was somebody else. But they listed like the number of defensive tackles invited to the combine year over year, and there's like 15 additional defensive tackles.
And running backs the same way. You're right.
Running backs. So that's awesome. And then in the free agency pool, at minimum, you're looking for someone to help fix right guard or left guard in 2025. Well, like, if you have to go sign, you know, one of these 32 or 31-year-old guys for $5 million, like, there's answers out there. So to your point earlier here, Judd, in this conversation, where are they going to spend their big assets? So if, let's say they have, with the cap space they've got 2 big free agent chunks and a first-round pick. And you've got some internal free agents. Like, if you bring Byron Murphy back for $18 million, that's kind of like one of your big chunks. Mm-hmm. Or Byron Murphy Cam Bynum might be too.
Yep.
So, like, if they go sign Milton Williams, the defensive tackle from Philadelphia in free agency, I don't know that they would then double up with a first-round pick on a defensive tackle. But if they were to go like, all right, we're going to go cornerback for one of our big chunks in free agency. Maybe it's Byron Murphy coming back. We're going to get Trey Smith as the right guard. And now that's kind of our big swings in free agency, and we'll fill in with some other guys. Yep. Well, then I'd say, cool, Javon Kinlaw. You're definitely not an every down guy anymore. But if you can play like 40% of the snaps, especially the third down snaps, and rush the passer, come on in here, baby. Let's make it happen.
The trickle down too. So there's 2 positions in particular that if they fill in with their big spends, I think there's a definite trickle down on what you don't have to feel as obligated. One is if you go and fix the interior offensive line, right? Your running game is going to improve. So if you draft a back and now though you're stout up front and that interior line is huffing and puffing and blowing snot out, well, now your running game just improves. So, like, there's a trickle down there. I think we can think about the running back position a little bit differently if the line is improved interior wise. Defense, same thing, interior. If you now can get a rush from Van Ginkel, Grenard, and interior, your secondary is in better shape because you're now pressuring a quarterback who's not going to have as much time to throw. So I do think that there is a case to be made that if you do focus on both of the lines interior wise, you're going to improve other positions sort of by default.
I will say this though about running, like Javonte Williams, for example. So he is not listed on the PFF top 100 free agents list. I think they expand this out to like 200 in the next few weeks. So there'll be, and I bring this up because his contract projection is not on here. Maybe Spotrac has one. I'm not sure. But the good news is some of the guys above him on this list, because again, he's not ranked. J.K. Dobbins is projected to make $3.5 million a year, which is nothing. Nick Chubb, who is coming off different injuries, didn't he like tear his knee up and came back last year for a chunk of the season, 29 years old. He's projected to make $3 million a year. So now you could bring Cam Akers back for probably $2 million. But if it's like, okay, Aaron Jones is projected to make $7 million, or you could bring back Cam Akers for $2 million, Javonte Williams for $2.5 million, and then draft a running back in the third round.
Is Aaron Jones going to get $7 million?
I mean, we could fight this, but they're pretty accurate on these projections.
Interesting, because like
he's still very good. He's a very good runner.
Oh no, he is. I'm just saying, I don't think the league is going to change its view of wear and tear on the position. So 7 just seems a little bit. It seems a bit high.
Yeah.
Given he's going to turn 30 and the state of his career, which has been good, but like everywhere he goes, he's banged up.
And also, let's bookmark this for our Tuesday blueprint. The Vikings have a lot of cap space, but are you going to bring in Daniel Jones 1 year 10 to not play, to just be part of your reassurance plan and quarterback rehab and Aaron Jones for $7 million a year?
I'm thinking
when you're looking to actively draft his replacement too, that adds up a little bit.
Yeah,
so
you're
we
right.
might want to take note of that in our exercise.
The more I think about this, I actually think Jones at 7 is probably too rich.
Yeah, especially if you got the other Jones at $10 million as a backup quarterback.
And you're going to draft a guy that you want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty rich.
So we'll bookmark that for the Tuesday
Take it
blueprint
offline.
episode.
Put a pin in it.
Put a pin in that. Circle back on Tuesday. Yeah. So there's your Saturday check down here. Just some I like this. Let's add all these players to we'll keep building our database of potential free agent options as
email.
We do these. Yeah. Prashant, nice job, dude. Appreciate you. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Ventline with Dex tomorrow. And then another blueprint episode coming up early in the week here. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.